What is up, everybody? Hope you all are having a lovely evening. Welcome to True 90's NickSclusive. Tonight we're going to have Brett Wilson, and I am really excited about this. It's always been exciting every single time I've got to do one of these, especially with various celebrities. But tonight is going to be a little different because this is the first time we're having more fan as opposed to celebrity. And that's part of what made Nickelodeon so special was we all got to watch these shows together and then go into school and talking to our friends about all these different shows that we liked, especially on Monday morning after we just watched Snick 2 nights previous, and then sharing all of our favorite sketches and things. What up, Christopher? So tonight is going to be more fan based as opposed to celebrity based, but that doesn't make it any less important because we're all big Nick fans. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, and I really want to build on the community. So, what's up? It's good to see you. It's good to see you too, Christopher. That's awesome. I love hearing from you. All right, Brett, my dude, sent a request, and we'll see Brett in just a second. One Mississippi, maybe 2 seconds.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How was your trip?
Very relaxing. I got to see a ton of stuff where I was, a lot of tourist attractions, but it wasn't too crowded.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as I was saying, I really just want to build on the community of the '90s, Nick. Which, for those who weren't already aware, just wanted to say hi and show some love. I appreciate it, Christopher. You have a lovely evening if you can't stick. But we are here with Brett Wilson of Brett Wilson Art. Thank you for being my first '90s Nick fan to come out.
Sure.
So, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to share such a passion for 90s Nickelodeon with fellow people online. Like in real life, you don't usually think about these things, but thanks to the magic of online communities and social media, you can connect with people in ways we never could have imagined like years or even decades ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into the Nickelodeon stuff, because I mean it's a Nickelodeon page, we got to talk about it. But before we get to that, I do want to talk about your art and what, because for me it was very much it was as far back as I can remember. Because I do art, but it's more just hobby stuff.
Right.
When did art really grab you?
Well, I was really into art since like age 3, so very very early on, and I tell this story a lot to people who ask me. But the very moment I knew I wanted to like draw, or at least try it out, is when I saw one of those Pizza Head commercials from Pizza Hut on TV, and I saw like the characters and how silly they were and how humorous it was, and I'm like, wow, that looks so cool. And then for some reason, my initial like gut instinct was to like go grab some of that like serrated fax paper that my grandmother had, with like the little peel off sides with the holes,
Yeah.
and then just slap that on the TV in the living room, and then just start like trying to trace the pizza character and the Super Steve like pizza cutter character before the commercial is over. Um,
Oh,
and
so this
that
was the Pizza Head commercials. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that was my introduction to drawing, as silly as it sounds. But I just really love the idea of cartoon characters and these things that were beyond reality that made things so lively and enjoyable. So from there, I looked into like other places I could find cartoon characters. Like I remember drawing the Monopoly Man a lot when I was a kid because my family had the board game, and like, oh, he looks so cool, and I just kept drawing like the big mustache and the top hat. And so I really looked wherever I could, even children's books at elementary school. But Nickelodeon is where I like really found my home with that in terms of finding cartoons and shows and other sorts of things that really engaged me. So a lot of it funneled into my beginning as an artist, really, because what I basically drew whatever I thought was, eye catching to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what at one point, because for many people like me, it's more of a hobby. What made you decide to do this more as a profession?
Well, I'm not much good at anything else, but no, 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 no. Let's see. Well, I was really big into art and music growing up, and I just kept pursuing that Because I guess I have more creative inclinations, and I had a lot of encouragement from both my mother and my grandmother. Thankfully, they saw the potential that I had in it, and I ended up doing a few like art classes and playing in concert bands and jazz bands throughout the time. But when it came to like pursuing a major or like going out in the real world, it really came down to what I wanted to like do with my art in terms of intention. And I wanted to tell stories and make people happy with characters. So, I ended up getting a bachelor's of fine arts in film and animation and minor in music from Rochester Institute of Technology, magna cum laude. And I just decided, whatever I can do to make this work, I'll make it work. Unfortunately, it was a lot tougher than I imagined to get into the animation industry, which is why you don't see me at Nickelodeon right now. But through a series of odd jobs and working with my dad in construction, I really just kept that as like my anchor during turbulent times in the 2010s.
Yeah.
I worked retail, restaurant, you name it. But I always came back to the art as like just a way to feel like I was myself and not just putting on a face to get a paycheck. And because I really liked that feeling and I liked just drawing characters so much, I felt like I could take the plunge and make it into a business. So around like 2019, when I started first posting 90s Nickelodeon stuff on Instagram, I was living in Long Beach, California at the time with friends. It started to get a lot of traction, and really what I was just doing is drawing what I felt I loved and sharing it with people because I tried a few other different things like my own comic book series, well, comic strip series online. Didn't really pan out. People couldn't connect. I tried some mixed media things where I'd like mix cartoon characters and photographs, and that didn't really connect either, even though I had a little bit of interest. So it was just a matter of throwing darts at the dartboard until something stuck. And thankfully, 90s Nickelodeon stuff is still relevant, still alive today, and people have that firmly anchored in their memories. So I figured, hey, why not? I love the 90s too. I love, growing up with all these shows that are behind me in my DVD shelf. Why don't I give that a shot? And so I started with simple drawings. Like, remember one of the first ones I did was like Pigeon Man of Hey Arnold. And people seemed really interested in that. And I'm like, okay, there's some other people on the internet out there who are interested in these things. So let me just keep going. I'll do like Angry Beavers next, or maybe something from Pete and Pete. And the key thing I would do with each of these images is I wouldn't do like a carbon copy of like the screenshot or what was on TV or whatever. I would take the elements from what I liked about the episode and try and somehow make a new scene out of it to kind of capture the essence of what that felt like to me. So with Pigeon Man, for example, Hey Arnold, I really Arnold does this a lot where it gives me like really deep connections with episodes that feel sad yet beautiful at the same time, because it has some sort of element of truth that you can relate to. In this case, like Pigeon Man's displeasure with the human race en masse, but he found comfort in making friends with animals, and I loved animals too. So it was very heartwarming to see that kind of care from his perspective on the top of that roof where he dwelled. And so it's just a matter of kind of drawing back from my memories, of not only memories that many people also share with me, but the things that really made me feel something deep. Obviously, P and P, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Salute Your Shorts are a very deep connection to me and how it shaped me as a person. But also, I want to be able to connect with people through those emotions, very similar to how like Pixar films connect to people who love Disney or Wall-E or Ratatouille, or you name it.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to it, I do art because I want to make people happy through the stories and the memories that we can kind of connect through these medium and through what we experienced growing up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, a lot of things you do now is more, it's created digitally. Yes.
Yes.
Is that your preferred medium, or is there other medium you would prefer to work with?
Good question. I do it mostly out of habit and because it's efficient and I can pump out a lot of art pretty fast digitally. I've gotten good at it, even though I was awful at it like back in high school. But I try to mix things up once in a while. I'll do a few watercolor pieces. I'll do like pencil stuff, colored pencil. I've even done sculpture a few times, woodworking things. It's just a matter of what calls to me at a time. Painting too, especially painting. But I mostly stick to digital now just because it's a very efficient way for me to get art out quickly and get it into the hands of people. Because as some of you know, I do sell art products like, you know, posters for one example. This is one of my favorite episodes, Hard Days Pete, Pete and Pete. You know, stickers like this one of Nosferatu from Are You Afraid of the Dark, you know, postcards, things like that. So it just makes it easier for me to streamline the process when I do it digitally than try to do it by traditional. And plus, I can copy it and reuse it in other different forms if I want to, rather than just keep it strictly to one set medium. So, you know, if I wanted to make that sticker into a shirt, eventually I could.
Hmm. Okay, so for those who have never purchased anything from you for an original piece,
Yes.
what is your normal? I'm new customer, new client. I have this idea. How can we make this work? What is your usual routine?
Well, it depends on if you're buying something that's already established. Like, you know, my art prints, poster stickers, you go to my website, which is brettwilsonart.com. There's a link in my bio on Instagram, and you go to the store section of the menu, and that'll lead you into the store where I have everything listed. Has my little BWA logo in the corner with an orange splat. And you can order art prints, posters, stickers from there. The catalog's always expanding. But if you want a commission, you can always just like DM or email me. You know, it helps to know what kind of budget you have in mind for what you want or like the complexity of the art. But usually when it comes to commissions, it's a very case-by-case basis in terms of what I can offer you based on my experience and your budget and the deadline that you need, or like the type of art. Because obviously if it's outside my wheelhouse, it's going to be a little more challenging, not impossible, but definitely more challenging. So therefore, you know, it'd be more expensive. Or like if something's super complicated and has tons of characters, obviously that's going to take time versus like, you know, black and white drawing of say like, you know, Reptar. But I always work with people who are willing to give me their undivided attention and patience to make sure I can give them something that they're truly happy with at a rate that's affordable for them.
And I second that. For those who don't know, Brett designed my logo, and I just had a general idea and pitched it to him, and he came up with the general idea and had like 3 or 4 different designs, and we tweaked it. I think I gave him half down before we started, and then paid the other half after. And again, just as professional courtesy, because I'm sure you've had instances where you start to make something, then the person would bail on you, and it's a waste of time, and that just sucks. But he was very, very patient. I know that Brett is incredibly busy with all the different art projects that he has going on. So it was just, I would be patient waiting for him, and then he gave 110% with everything that he was working on. So I'm very happy with my artwork. I'm very happy working with him, and I'd like to commission another art piece sometime in the future. Not quite yet, but anytime I want to commission an art piece, I'm definitely going for Brett. And that's not to say that there aren't other artists that I'm also going to go with, because there's some other 90s art fans that are amazing. But working with Brett directly, I've not regretted it, and I will happily do it again. So if you want some commissioned art piece, go with him. If you want to go with his store, please support him, because he's got some great stuff.
Yeah, brettwilsonart.com, store page, enter store, you're pretty much there. I'm having a sale currently right now, actually, for all the stickers. It's a summer sale, 25% off. So if you're into like Are You Afraid of the Dark stickers, we also have some Sleepy Shorts ones. Check them out while you can. And we'll be having a wave of Pete and Pete stickers coming by the end of the summer, so sometime in August.
Awesome. Yeah. I do have a question that's come up for you. I don't understand it, but maybe you will.
Okay.
What do you think of the CalArts style? CALARTS, yeah.
I used to know what that meant because it was thrown around a lot in animation school. Um, I don't remember what specifically it's referencing. I just know that a lot of people who go to Cal Arts or Sheridan College or RISD tend to get funneled straight into Hollywood animation studios. RIT to a lesser extent, but they're getting better at it because they recently opened a studio building at their campus in the past few years. Um, it's hard for me to say unless I have a reference point. So if whoever asked that, if you would like to send me a link of a film that came from CalArts, I'd be happy to look at it and give you my personal thoughts.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things in particular concerning your art that there's like three things I should say.
Oh, hold on.
Go
Nickelodeon
ahead.
stuff says it's like the Steven Universe look. Interesting.
Ah,
Round bean mouth
okay.
character. Um, I think if it's done well, like Steven Universe, actually, I was a big fan and I watched the entire series. It could work, but I think there's a danger with trying too hard to mimic that style just because it's popular, and it could unfortunately dilute, the message or the story that the shows are trying to convey. If the style becomes distracting or it just doesn't seem to gel well. Some people might hate me for this, some people might not. I don't know, but I was not a fan of the recent Thundercats reboot because I felt like the oversimplified shapes of the characters were far too distracting with the lore that I had already established in my mind of the '80s animated show, because the whole muscular action figure look really suited the nature of the story. It's like very serious, action oriented, sci-fi. So it's not to say that that can't be done with more being characters like Bravest Warriors, for example. I think that handles it pretty well as well. But if it's just pushed to the extreme for purely visual appeal, it counteracts the depth of the story and the acting of the characters to a point where it becomes too distracting to enjoy. At least that's where I'm coming from as an animation, I wouldn't say expert, but I'm very well versed in animation history, style, the process, all that.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So you had posted, or I should say, created an Instagram page not too long ago, or at least I knew about it not that long ago, that was not related to 90s Nickelodeon. It was just your other artwork. And some of the things that you had posted on there I thought were absolutely beautiful. And one of them was a mural that you had put on.
Oh, yeah.
But you had also mentioned that you had won some awards for some of your other projects. What's some of the awards that you've won?
Sure. It was mostly film awards for my senior thesis film. It's called Uprooted, which basically uses a much rougher version of my buddy type mascot character in a personal story that I've kind of dealt with while working through the story. I ended up winning the Royal Reel Award in the Vancouver Fan Festival for Best Animation. So that was pretty exciting to travel up to there and give a quick little speech and do that. I've won a New York Film Festival award for that, Indie Festival award, lots of film festival awards, like about 6 or 7, which is very heartwarming considering that, despite the challenges and personal difficulty that I've experienced in my life, it was kind of a dark time in my life, senior year of college. I was able to transform that pain into something that people could relate to in a meaningful way. So yeah, that's what I got for that. I didn't win any awards for the mural, but people love seeing the mural of the Secret Garden, which I helped paint along with a couple other assistants, managed by a great artist named by Dow Lavassier, Tao. I worked with him in Hartford, Connecticut, in the art scene in 2014, 2012 to 2014, and he does some great mural work. If anyone's in Connecticut or want to check that out on his page. So yeah, I don't know what else to really say there, but yeah, I felt it was necessary to show some people another side of my art, because as much as I love 90s Nickelodeon, I don't feel like it's like healthy to abandon all the other parts of me that I want to express as an artist. So that's why I made the alternate Instagram page. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, I don't think it's running currently because I couldn't get enough traction with it. But it was just an experiment. I was trying it out. I'm always looking for ways to connect with people through my art, whether it's popular or a little more on the esoteric side.
I 90s Nick fan and also an art appreciation fan. I thought it was fantastic. I loved seeing the stuff outside of Nickelodeon, so I'd love to see more if you got more. But
Yeah, yeah,
keep
I'd like to show more too. It's just a matter of like when I could squeeze it into my Instagram page because there's always that fear that I would alienate my audience because they're not familiar with the subject matter.
yeah.
But I've mentioned it a few times. There's this really big graphic novel project I've been working on and off for the past 10 years called Seeds of Sentiment, and it kind of deals with a character who like wakes up in a wasteland not knowing where he is or why he's there, but he has to like find his way home through there. And as he finds out, through traveling and meeting different people, that ends up being his like own inner world inside of him. And that if he doesn't do something quick to like find the root cause of what's like destroying the land, it's going to be lost forever. So it'll be fun to like tackle full time at the end of this year, to see what I can do in that art form, graphic novel format.
What was the because Buddy is your mascot? Where was the
Yeah.
creation of that? Where did he come from?
Well, my dad used to call me Buddy a lot growing up, and he went after like this Buddy doll that I had. It was like
Mhm.
a stuffed Cabbage Patch type thing with like blue and white striped overalls and a red cap and like a big goofy Raggedy Ann style happy face on him. I always used to take that wherever I went when I was like a little kid, toddler, and so the nickname stuck. And it kind of formed a new layer of meaning when I got older because people would always call me like Buddy in high school and college, as a term to mean like I'm everyone's friend. I got along with everyone. It didn't matter who you were, what your background was, who else you hung out with. Like if you wanted to hear from me, get some advice, check out my art, even just chat with me. If no one else was talking to you, they would come to me. And so I felt like that just developed into its own extension of my personality where I can be someone who can help other people and also relate to them if they don't necessarily have someone to relate to.
Love it.
And just a little note on like his design influence. So my first video game was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I got that bundle with Sega Genesis in like
Yes.
1992. Played the heck out of that the day I got it until like for a straight year with my dad and my sister playing 1 and 2 player mode and even learning the cheats for level select. But his like faux hawk hairstyle is influenced by
Mhm.
Sonic the Hedgehog spikes. And because I used to wear a faux hawk a lot in high school, so, that's that. And then the red flannel shirt is because I loved wearing flannel growing up more than anything. So, a little bit of my personal influence imbued in his design.
Man, I always wondered where the spiky hair came from, and the second you said Sonic,
Glad
exactly where you were going. I love it.
we're on the same page. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So he's destined for the 90s.
it's synonymous.
Yeah.
Okay, so something you've been doing a lot more recently is the stickers.
Mhm.
Where did that idea come from? Was that just pitching some things around?
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't initially really consider as like a viable form of making my art. But back when I was in Long Beach in 2019, when I was just starting to put my stuff out there, I was trying to plan for my Scary Tales Kickstarter at the time on my own, and I thought, what would people want for an Art for the Dark Kickstarter rewards? And I thought, maybe stickers. You know, that could be easy to make versus like custom bookmarks or other types of print products. And I initially started out with one design of one character that stood out to me from each season. So I had, it was around like 8 or 9, but I had the Dark Music doll, I had the Renegade Virus, the Hatching Mother Reptilian Dragon, I had the Silver Sight Waif Kid, Madame Visage from Many Faces, uh, Teddy Mars, which is like a Two-Face type villain from The Tale of the Secret Admirer from season 6 of Are You Afraid of the Dark, the Night Shift Vampire, of course, and a quiet librarian. And it didn't really go as planned where I used them for my Kickstarter after lots of reconsideration, because the first time I launched the Kickstarter, it didn't really work out, and I had to make some adjustments for my funding goal. Otherwise, I would have to pay a lot out of pocket to make the books.
Yeah.
So I canceled it like initially, and then I got like a group of people to help me make it, and just as like, I guess it was just me going with the first hunch of what I wanted to do to get people's attention, because I was putting a lot of effort into planning the Kickstarter last year around this time, from like now until right up to October when I released it. And I needed something to show on Instagram, because I kept doing this like constant putting art out stuff, and I didn't want to have any droughts so that people would ignore what I was doing or lose traction for that. Yeah. So I'm like, well, I got these sticker designs sitting on my computer that haven't seen the light of day ever. Let me just put those up and see if people are interested. And lo and behold, as soon as I showed that matchstick up there and said the Are You Afraid of the Dark sticker collection, people were like, oh my God, what is this? I love it. Give me more now. Blah, blah, blah. So thinking quickly, I just kind of ran with that frenzy and ended up producing 31 stickers for season 1. And I called it Wave 1, just in case I wanted to add like other stickers that were not directly tied to the episodes of that season.
Yeah.
And after I did that and ordered my first batch, man, the response was overwhelming, way more than I thought I would have received. I ended up giving some out as like extra gifts for people waiting while I was publishing the book and shipping it to people one by one. People really appreciated those that way, and they got more connected to buying art from me that way. I started selling them individually. I started selling them in bundles. Some people were even so nuts that were like, yeah, give me all of them. This is like, ooh, like trading cards. I can have a binder of these. So, I'm a man who loves doing series of things. It's like, pick an idea and explore it. And then if you work within certain parameters, you can make a ton of them, which works for me in the fast-paced world of Instagram artists. So, when that did well, I was like, okay, let's do a second wave, based on mostly season 2 characters from episodes. And those were pretty responsive. I tweaked the little settings where I made the stickers slightly bigger so that you can see them better, the detailing. And those were just as popular. In fact, I got a lot of traction in the Are You Afraid of the Dark Facebook group that I'm a part of. And because they love seeing like the whole collage of the stickers I've done so far.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got just because I'm kneeling in front of my DVD case. Because they love seeing them all together. They're like, hey, do you want to use your stickers for a contest we're doing to like raise our follower count and awareness and stuff like that? And I'm like, sure. So I send them a bunch of stickers, and people just keep coming at me from the woodwork to get more of them. And I'm already working on, a fourth wave of that after the Pete ones are done. So it's just, once you get that traction with any type of art medium that you do, I just keep going as far as I can until it doesn't want to go anymore, and then shift to something else.
It's awesome, man. I'm glad the support for that is huge, because I've seen a ton of support for that. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, and if anyone still wants more stickers, I still have plenty to sell, because I have to clear out my season 1 ones to replace them as 4-inch ones, because originally I made them 3.5-inch, and I want them all to be 4-inch. So yeah, go check them out at my store if you want some.
Okay, and something else, because you had already mentioned it a few times, for those who are unaware, Brett has made an amazing compilation book called Scary Tales.
Yep.
Which is all about Are You Afraid of the Dark in almost the most full capacity that you could possibly think of. Yep. Me being the Nickelodeon fan I am, I'm always trying to learn everything I can about the show, the network, the actors, which is part of why this NickSclusive thing exists. Sure. But there is, and not to beat Brett, but there is another companion guide for Are You Afraid of the Dark that's out there. And before I got the second one. Well, I should say this was the first one I got.
Okay.
Other one was the second one I got, but the other one came out first.
Right.
And I just tweaking Brett's brain. I was asking, have you read the other one? And I think you said you had at least looked over it.
Yeah, I glossed
And,
over it. But
and
no, it's kind of a straight and to the point
it is.
episode guide. It does what it sets out to do, and it's nice that it included some production photos too. But
Yes.
because I
And I
was aware of that when I was first making the book, I didn't want people to accuse me of copying him, so I
yeah.
deliberately made it like a coffee book of its own thing to be like more about the art in conjunction with the episode trivia and also adding extras to really just make it feel like a complete comprehensive history of the show. So that's really what I did it with it in mind, because the book is really intended to use as a guide when you watch the show, or like if you want to get someone into Are You Afraid of the Dark but they have no idea what you're talking about, and they're, you just say like, check the book out, there's some really cool art in here.
Okay, so and Justin for all said that he also has the book and it's bare, and it is. I was before I even got the chance to look through it, I had asked Brett what was the difference between his and the other existing one, and he told me exactly what he just said, that he wanted to be a lot more, and he dude has got this thing stacked. I'm not even joking. All right, so all this, that's the episodes. All this is extra stuff. And you won't get this extra stuff in the other guide at all. I mean, this is a really, you can tell this is a labor of love, and Brett has really knocked it out of the park with this thing. So, first of all, I'm assuming, because we did have the question that's come up, is Are You Afraid of the Dark your favorite Nickelodeon show?
Favorite live action show, because I'd like to separate them into live action, game show, and animation, to be fair.
We do the same thing. You and I do the exact same thing. So, favorite live action show. What were some of the challenges that you had, and what were some of your favorite things about making the book?
A lot of the challenges were just sticking through with it, because it was a 3.5 year project. I only thought it would take like a year initially when I started it, but because life kept getting in the way and changing, I moved a lot, changed relationship status, had some financial hardship. I did everything under the sun to just keep it going. It was my like rock to keep me focused, kind of like how I do series of art. It's just, I don't know if I have just like this ability to focus really hard on something when I know what I'm doing and I don't have to think about it, but it really helped me through those times. What was the question again?
Some of the challenges you had and some of the things that you were your favorite.
Yeah. So the challenges were initially just coming up with original creative ways to show each episode. That was like the 91 days of Are You Afraid of the Dark phase, where I first started it as a Facebook challenge, where I draw every episode in order to the best of my ability in black and white to show you guys what I felt the episode was about, or how it could be summed up in one image. And over the course of 3 months, I did that. I had a lot of great reception, and I didn't want the whole idea to stop there. I just felt like it could be a lot more than that. So I started asking myself, what could I do with these illustrations? And it popped into my head that, well, why not make a book out of it? Kind of like, the Twilight Zone companion or the Simpsons episode guide, which were two major influences in its design. And I was like, yeah, if there's other people out there who are like really into this show like me, they want to know everything about it. I'm all about the DVD extras when I gather my DVD collection. So this is like the book version of that. So using that fuel of passion inside me, I just kept like forming it, getting ideas, and just coming up with different things that I myself would want to read in it, because I'm sure at least one other person out there in 7 billion whatever people on the planet would want to read that too. Some of the challenges, other than just the fact that it took a serious toll on my body working on this thing, we're talking like 12 to 15 hours per day for 3.5 years, while having some jobs on the side, while going through relationship issues while like trying to juggle family matters while trying to keep my bank account out of the red. And it was certainly an ordeal, just trying to get through it. And I remember one time I thought I almost lost the book completely when I was in California, because
Oh, no.
something had happened where I was moving my computer from the living room into my own room so I could have like more personal time to focus and not be distracted by my roommates playing video games. And somehow in me like dropping it on the way there, I killed my computer.
Oh,
I called
no.
tech support and I asked, how can I revive this? Please help me. And they had no idea what to do because it was an older model computer. It was like a 2009 HP Pavilion, whatever. And I'm like, crap, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I didn't even have it backed up on Google Drive or anything like that.
Oh,
But
gosh.
luckily, someone who I used to play video games with on PlayStation, I told him about the ordeal, and he's like, wait a minute, give me like 3 hours. I will drive to you. I will bring you and your computer to my garage. We will work on it until we get that data from that hard drive. And that's what we did. He drove me to like in
Gosh.
the middle of the desert in California from Los Angeles, and he freaked me out. I'd never seen him in person before. I thought he was going to kill me. He looked like a cross between a bank robber and a grease monkey. But you know, after I got over that initial like visual shock, he was the nicest guy ever. He was very hospitable. He paid for my ride home because I didn't have a car out there, and we just kind of bonded over, you know, playing Super Mario Brothers in his, you know, garage setup while flip-flopping back and forth and trying different external drives and cables and hooking up to his PCs, see if it worked. It's kind of like a Dr. Frankenstein scenario for the computer. And I'm really, really happy that after like 3.5 days of just solid work that I salvaged the data, I bought some storage on Google Drive, transferred it there, and then once I got back to California, I essentially used my roommate's shitty laptop to make my art and the book, while it was like constantly lagging on me with like, you know, the hourglass every time I type something,
Mhm.
because I didn't have Adobe InDesign at the time. And, you know, I just held on to what I could. And then when I came back home to live with my grandmother in Connecticut for a while, I essentially did a couple of gigs to save up money to buy a new computer, which my brother helped me build. And then I was able to transfer that data back onto there, had enough money to buy like Adobe programs and start going to town and really start blazing at it. And I think that downtime, as scary as it was, gave me enough time for reflection to think about, okay, this is what I want to do. If I can somehow, by an act of God, save this book, make sure that, you know, everything's structured the right way, that I'm not doing it the hard way, because I tend to do things the hard way just out of habit, and, you know, really hold it together best I can. And, you know, with a lot of help and some luck, here we are 3.5 years later with a 400-page tome that encompasses Are You Afraid of Dark's history.
That is awesome.
Thanks. And that was the short version too.
That is awesome. that is, I know that had to be terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. All right. So, what is the next step for the book?
Well, as people know, I already had a Kickstarter for it last Halloween, which was wildly successful. Funded it in 2 days out of 30 days, which is just unheard of. I'm so grateful and thankful for all the fans who participated and helped me make that a reality. And I think it was a large part due to the constant live stream watch parties I was doing of literally every single episode in order during the month, because I'm just crazy like that. So thank you all who bought the book already, funded the Kickstarter and all that stuff. But right now, I felt like, again, I was not done, because more people need to see this book. And I'm at a point where literally people are finding me from the farthest corners of the internet being like, where's the book? How can I find your book? And I'm like, sorry, I only have like a couple copies of Kickstarter run off. I actually sold one tonight to one of my friends. Thanks, Nate.
Awesome.
And I'm just like, I can't have people ripping me apart like it's Black Friday at Walmart. I got to do something about this. So I decided, you know, if I'm going to bring this to retail, if I'm going to find an actual publisher beyond what I managed to do on my own, I got to make this serious. I got to expand it as far as I can. And so I'm currently taking the time when I'm not doing the Pete and Pete sticker designs to expand it to include all 3 episode reviews of Carnival of Doom, all 6 episode reviews of Curse of Shadows, plus a mini series overview for each season of the reboots. I'm going to include a page for the books, maybe some about other Are You Afraid of the Dark merch other than what's already in the bonus tales, which I won't spoil in the book. I might modify a couple of interviews and, just really trim the fat, make sure that everything is quality content so that you get all killer, no filler.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I hope this continues to go for you, because the amount of time you put into this it's evident. It is really, it's awesome. It really is awesome.
You want to hear a fun fact? Because
I love fun facts.
I was curious. So, accounting for the fact that I did this book largely unpaid, outside the Kickstarter, I divvied up like the amount of hours that I put into this, plus all the expenses to like replace my equipment and stuff like that, just to keep the project going. And you know how much it cost me to make this book using my wits and just flat out persistence and luck?
How much?
$849,556.
God bless.
Yeah.
God.
I'm lucky it happened at all, because that was just pure passion, man.
Yeah, it's. You should be proud, because that is an accomplishment. That's awesome.
Yeah. Even if Nickelodeon turns a blind eye to me, I still can be proud of the fact that I made something real and that people unanimously love it. There hasn't been one single person who hated it.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Because within the book, there are some opportunities where you have had some quotes from various people who were a part of the show. Mm-hmm. Who was your favorite one that you got to speak with?
Ooh. Maybe it's the obvious answer, but I really liked talking to Juju McHale for the forward and Ross Hull for his interview, because I really looked up to Ross as a kid in the Midnight Society. I was like the nerdy kid growing up with the glasses, so he was my spirit storyteller. So it was very surreal for me to actually talk with him. He's just like the nicest guy. I love him to death. I hope to talk with him and do more stuff with him in the future for Are You Afraid of the Dark. He even allowed me to like interview him twice after I lost, some data from the whole computer fiasco, which just goes to show what a great guy he is. But I also like DJ because I actually got to meet him in person while I was working on the book. So when I was in LA, somehow I got word that I was working on, or I might have reached out to him, because we were in communication in the early phases of the book through email, because I like briefly found him on Facebook, and then we just decided to talk over email, and I showed him some of my art, and he thinks that, it was really lovely. It's incredible. You could really see like the wide smile that it put on his face, knowing that his show was living on in some other form and doing it justice.
Yeah.
So, because we kind of built up that bond during the early phases of making the book, I felt, hey, why not? We've been talking back and forth. Let's meet up while I'm out in LA, because you live not too far from here. So I hopped a few metros to get to him. Had lunch with him not once but twice, and showed him the book, and he was just like, wow, what is this? This is incredible. And I asked him if he would write the forward, and without a doubt he said, yeah, give me like a couple days, I'll get it back to you in email. And what you read in the forward is what he wrote for me, unedited. And to read that really brings a tear to my eye, feeling like he was a father figure to me in that sense. Because aside from the fact that we have that connection of Are You Afraid of the Dark, we both grew up in Southern Connecticut. We were both film degrees. We were both very scrappy, friendly, and loved horror through Twilight Zone. So it's like, whatever the connection is, I feel we definitely share it. So if I ever get the opportunity to do my own Are You Afraid of the Dark themed tales after Scary Tales has run its course, the book, I would be more than happy to do that. And I've already developed some characters and story ideas in the background that I could potentially use for such an opportunity.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I know I keep saying this is awesome, but it is. It's all of this is so cool.
Well, there's
I
more
love
to
every
that
second of it.
movie than just the guy behind the curtain constantly making art.
I love all this stuff. I love all of it.
I'm happy.
Okay, so we're getting away from the book, and we've discussed art. Just from fan to fan, yes, we know Are You Afraid of the Dark was your favorite live action. What is your favorite cartoon, and what was your favorite game show?
Excellent questions. I waffle back and forth between this one, but I would have to lean slightly more towards Doug than Rocco's Modern Life. Both of them influenced my art style tremendously, and I think that's very evident with my ability to copy their style and make it look like the real thing. But I would say Doug just inches over Rocco for me because um, I really related to Doug growing up as like this wholesome kid who lived in the suburbs, who was also left-handed, by the way, had an overactive imagination, liked to doodle, and just really get lost in that sort of world whenever school wasn't like getting you through the day, like it wasn't cutting it. So I saw a lot of myself in Doug and his personality, and I drew a lot upon from him as a result. And even to this day, I still love revisiting the cartoon just as like one of those feel-good moments to be like, yeah.
Yep.
The 90s
Very,
were awesome. I love watching this like when it first came out, and I still do.
very much the same. So that's I completely resonate with that. And game show.
Game show, again, I have like a top three for like each of these categories, but if I had to pick one, top of my head, Legends of the Hidden Temple, even if it was unfair and brutal, because God damn it, when I was a kid, I wanted to go through that temple. I didn't even care about the steps smells. I didn't care about the boat. I didn't care about the temple games. Give me 3 minutes to run through there, punch some temple guards in the face, and let me retrieve the artifacts, dive right out into the gate, and go to space camp. That's what I wanted to do, more than anything.
Oh man, I love it.
And it was even to a point. I'll just finish with this. It was even to a point where I would like get so excited, even though I was clearly out of the age range to audition back then, because I was only like 5 years old at the time, and I think the cutoff was around 7 or 8. But I would used to like take my parents' bed sheets and pillows and whatnot, and I would like make obstacle courses out of them in our bedroom. So my sister would like pretend to time me, and I would just like lunge all over these like stacks of pillows and go through this like bed sheet thing that was propped up to mimic the rooms to the best of my ability as a 5-year-old of going through the temple. Because if I couldn't get on the show, I at least had to have the feeling and the experience of doing that. And I remember like one of the silliest things I did was like take my dad's sneakers, put them on top of his bedpost, and like pull them down as if they're like that room of the 3 golden idols or the golden orbs where you had to like push on something to get through the other door.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and to add to that,
oh no,
I have my very own pendant of life that I made.
Nice.
So back, just as a side tangent story for Legends, back when I was a sophomore year in college, a group of my band friends in the dorms were like working on a group costume, but they didn't really say what it was going to do yet. They just wanted to commission me to do some art for it. And I'm like, sure, I wonder what it is. And they're like, can you make like 12 to 24 pendants of light for us? And I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? And she told me that, we're going to go as, a full cast of contestants from Legends of the Hidden Temple. And we already have someone who played Kurt Fogg and a temple guard. And we just like go around a neighborhood asking for candy and freaking people out. So it was amazing. I fully dressed up as a green monkey. I had my own pendant of life that I still have to this day that I drew. And we got a crap ton of candy. And after we were done roaming the neighborhoods at like 2 a.m., we were just all hanging out in this open field near the apartment complex of some of the kids and just like trading candy and lying in the grass looking up at the stars and just being all nostalgic together.
This is great.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite college memories, and I still have the costume to this day, which I actually wore for Buddy Television for last year's Nicktober special.
Okay, so Are You Afraid of the Dark? Huge fan, obviously.
Yep.
In a nutshell, what did you think of the two miniseries?
Yes, because I do get asked that quite a lot.
I'm sure you do.
I mean, for some of you who don't have the book, you can just wait until you get the book to hear my thoughts. But if you want a more candid answer, I would say they're a good offering. I still don't like it as much as the original anthology format because I'm married to that.
Mm-hmm.
But for what it accomplishes for a new audience, I think it does a solid job.
That's fair enough. And are you going to check out the reboot of Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Yes, out of curiosity. I know they did a casting call back in May, and I'm so tempted to apply for that. But when I read the description that they would like really up the ante with the obstacle course and maybe add a survival element to it, I was like, do I really want to go through that right now when I have like all these projects in the background to work on?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I have to weigh my priorities there. But I'm sure at least someone out there who's a true 90s Nickelodeon fan will be on the show for me in spirit. And I definitely look forward to watching it when it comes out.
And Justin for All was just saying Fear Street is really awesome. And I've heard a lot of great things about that. I haven't checked it out yet.
I actually watched it last night, the first part, 1994. Wow, I didn't realize R.L. Stine could get that dark because I'm used to his Goosebumps books. But it was intense. Yeah, I really loved the lighting, the story. I'm excited to see where it goes and if they apply that treatment to anything else he's done.
And because we know your love of Doug, and the topic gets brought up all the time, I'm sure. But
Mm-hmm.
what did you think as a kid whenever you found out it was on Disney, and did you check it out?
Sort of. So I did have Disney Channel as a kid, although a little bit briefly. I managed to see the first couple episodes and then like them randomly here or there. I mean, call me an old fogey, but when there's like too many changes that happen in a show you come to beloved, it's very disorienting and hard to stay with it. And so when I saw the first episode where it's like, well, Bluffington School is now BB Bluff High School, and there's a big old fountain in the shape of her head, and Roger's rich now, and you can actually see Skunky Beaumont instead of just hearing about him in Legends. And, you know, everyone looks totally different, and Billy West wasn't voicing Doug. It was too much for me to handle. It was giving me like serious anxiety about having an identity crisis about my relation to Doug. So past like the first 2 or 3 episodes, I didn't bother to watch it anymore. And I saw a bit of the Doug's first movie with the whole like blue monster thing in the swamp. I don't know. It just felt like it was drifting away somehow from what I loved most about Doug was just being down to earth in ordinary kid situations, having a good time and using your imagination. And I feel like that happens a lot to shows when they last a little bit too long past their prime, where you know they're constantly finding new things to stay relevant. And while that may work in some situations, or at least for a little bit, I feel like in the long run or overall, they may end up, I think the word is ostracizing their audience that initially fell in love with it because of how much it's grown in popularity. So that's unfortunately how I feel, but I still keep Doug near and dear in my heart, like here in this original animation cell, which is authentic. Yeah. By the way, Justin says that he would love a Legends of the Hidden Temple pendant as a sticker. I'll keep that in mind if I do a Nick Gass like games and sports sticker series, because
get out of my head, dang it! I was just thinking the same thing.
I've had many requests. For some reason, it's like Nickelodeon game show month for some reason, because you know Big Orange Couch did a Legends episode. Critics Without Credentials, I'm going to be on their show talking about that. Later this month, early August. So it's like, okay, fine. If late summer is going to be about games, let's do something for that. So I got a Legends of the Hidden Temple poster in the works, and I'll definitely be doing some like team stickers as well as Kirk Fogg and the Temple Guard, and maybe a couple of artifacts if people are interested in that.
Oh man, I love it.
I also, if I have the time, I'm also very ambitious as a double-edged sword. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If I can pull it off, I'm going to do a massive poster of Legends of the Hidden Temple and have every single artifact on it, all 120.
Oh man, yeah, that's ambitious to say the least.
Yeah. So if there are any diehard Legends fans that would definitely want to support that effort, let me know and I'll make it happen.
Okay, so rare moment for this Instagram, but we'll break away from Nickelodeon for a minute.
Sure.
And before we hang it up, because I don't know how long this has gone. Outside of Nickelodeon, what were some TV shows that you liked as a kid in the 90s?
Oh yeah, there's quite a bit actually. I'm most known for 90s Nick actually, but I do like to venture out into other realms. Like I was really big into Cartoon Network in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. Fox Kids, of course, sometimes Kids WB. So Power Rangers I love for the monsters.
Yes.
So how can I not? I mean, I definitely want to do stickers of those at some point. I love X-Files, Tales from the Crypt.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
What do you got for me?
Autographed by the Green Ranger.
Nice. Yeah, I got my DVD sets right here actually. First 3 seasons.
Nice.
Yeah. Whew. So yeah, Power Rangers, X-Files, Tales from the Crypt, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes.
I used to watch Big Bad Beetleborgs. Like,
Yes.
I guess I had like a robot phase, superhero phase. Space Goofs from Fox Kids, which was kind of like a little Rocko's Modern Life-esque. Sticking Around, which is a very obscure show. Dexter's Lab, obviously, Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Courage the Cowardly Dog, What a Cartoon Show, which is like a cartoon anthology show, similar to Oh Yeah Cartoons. Oh Canada, which was like all Canadian cartoons on Cartoon Network.
Mm-hmm.
I just absorbed anything that seemed interesting to me. But those are like the main ones that stuck with me. Darkwing Duck, yes, Justin, that is a great one, and I did watch that a lot. Let's get dangerous. Darkwing Duck. Yeah.
And
Dog's World was great too because it had Howie Mandel back when he had hair on it. And Life with Louie,
yes.
That was another good one. Garfield, yep, Garfield and Friends, loved that. So many great shows. It doesn't even matter if you stick in 90s Nick or venture out to other TV stations. I just think there's something for everyone there, and we're so blessed to have such quality television that we can now reflect upon these days.
Was there any movies that came out in the 90s that you were really hooked on?
Yes, Nightmare Before Christmas. That was like my Oh, check this out. The original from Jack Skellington doll from 1993 when the movie came out, Whip Zero.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Still have him after all these years. He's easily my most prized possession.
That's awesome.
Yep. He's pretty big too, and it's like kind of stuffy. If I knew how to put like armor on him, I would stand him up, but I haven't figured that out yet without damaging him.
Someone had just put Surf Ninjas as a movie, and I absolutely love that movie.
I've actually never heard of it, but it sounds really fun.
Oh my gosh, it's so cheesy, it's so awful, and I love it so much. It's amazing.
Cool.
Okay. And one more generic 90s thing. What was some of the... Did music play a big part for you in the 90s? Because for me, it really wasn't, but was it for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I was very much into music as much as into art. Although that didn't pan out as a career, I still appreciate it and play bass and alto saxophone as a hobby. I really got into 90s alternative, indie, grunge, that sort of genre. A little bit of metal here and there, like classic metal, but not as much. It was really mainly rock, alternative, and 90s indies. And actually, Pete and Pete was like the gateway to me exploring music back then because of the soundtracks. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about Polaris's music and all the other bands that have contributed to that show, but I just find it so, I don't know. It's weird and wonderful and humble, but also something about the quirkiness of all those songs just makes you feel like you're a part of that world, that you want to be. You're just another citizen in Wellsville. And I think because I really felt connected to that show and to the music that they showed, I mean, well, showed in Hard Day's Peak, but you heard in all the other episodes. It was a strong launching point for me to discover more bands through that.
Love it. Okay, so to
Plus
wrap,
MTV, I can't forget that.
yes,
Yeah.
to wrap things up, what are some projects that you've got going now, and where can everybody find you at?
Sure. So my current projects, I'm developing the Pete and Pete sticker collection, Wave One. I'm starting with the specials, and since there's 5 episodes of the specials, I'm going to do about 2 sticker designs, give or take, for each episode. And I just finished Captain Scrummy today from what we did on our summer vacation. That was a deep cut request, and I'm currently working on Edna the Fighting Squid from Valentine's Day Massacre. So that'll be fun, and those will be out by either end of this month, beginning of August. I'm going to be doing a crap ton of 30th anniversary poster art for Doug, Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, What Would You Do, and Are You Afraid of the Dark, and Hey Arnold, throughout the rest of the year. 4 of those are in August, so I got to be ready by then. Obviously, Are You Afraid of the Dark's on Halloween, and then Hey Arnold is like early October, so I'll be working on getting those out so that people can buy them and share them and just love them however possible, because why not celebrate anniversaries of our favorite shows when they're here?
That's
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so that'll be fun. Obviously, the Legends posters that I've talked about before is a project. And other than that, I don't know if you want to mention anything or keep it under wraps, but I might have a podcast in the future that
Yeah,
might be nostalgia related.
yeah. I was actually going to plug some of that too. Brett and I've been pitching for over a year that I'm going to start my own podcast, and I have no time. It has been chaos in my household, but I think we're finally going to get that started, and
Yeah.
Brett and I are going to go in together. We've pitched a few ideas around with name titles, but I don't think we have anything official yet, but we were toying with one that we really like. And we don't want to take away from the other podcasters. That's the last thing we want to do. So
yeah,
like
we're
Big
definitely
Orange
not going to
Counts.
step on anyone's toes that we already know who's established. You guys obviously know who I've worked with because I do a lot of guest appearances and also art for other
Yeah.
podcasts. So we're not trying to encroach on their turf. What we're aiming to do is fill the gaps of 90s nostalgia and Nick, depending on what direction we take it, just so that we can be there for people who want a little bit more deeper dive on certain things that they really love about
Yeah.
the 90s.
Because Brett and I we're very we love encompassing as much as we can, and I love to find obscure things, and I love to find the small detail stuff. So that's kind of where we're leaning toward. We probably going to be some basic reviews, and not even basic reviews of episodes, but like of the DVDs, bonus content, some of the weird merchandise that Nickelodeon came out with. So that more that kind of thing for the two of us. So keep an eye out for that soon.
Yeah.
And where can everybody find you at?
Of course, I'm mainly on Instagram, believe it or not, at Brett Wilson Art. You can follow me here, obviously. You can email me if you ever need to contact me for commissions, DM me. You can go to my website, brettwilsonart.com. You can go to my store as well. That's through my website because the whole URL is like too fumbly to say it here. Just go to my website, click on the store button, and then enter store, which is a big orange flat, and you'll be where you need to be to buy very cool 90s merch. And if you don't see anything that you like, definitely send me some suggestions. If I haven't already made art and posted on Instagram, and I'll see what I can do for making it in the future. I'm very good about taking requests. So yeah, I'm up for anything as long as people want to support my art and keep me going as an Instagram artist.
Awesome. I love it. And I was toying on if I wanted to tease it or just flat out say it. I'm just going to flat out say it for this one because a lot of what we talked about was one particular show. So the next True 90s NickSclusive is going to be next Thursday. And our guest is going to be DJ McHale.
Cool. What a great follow-up. Tell him that I said hi, and hopefully that he's still aware of my work and wants to be more Are You Afraid of the Dark stuff.
I had actually mentioned you whenever I was reaching out to him,
Oh, cool.
saying how much I appreciate. He hasn't said anything back, but he was, at least in terms of that, because we focused on this. But
Sure.
I anticipate on at least addressing the book and see what he has to say about it.
Yeah, you might as well hear it from the horse's mouth. Don't take
That's
my word
right.
for it.
All right. Well, Brett, thanks again for doing all this. It's always a blessing to get to chat with you and hang out, and I'm so glad to have you as my first fan. So thank you so much.
Not to mention a friend too. It's
Absolutely.
a pleasure to know all you guys in the 90s Nickelodeon community. We're very supportive of each other. So thankful that I can actually do this for a living now, thankfully. Just keep supporting each other, being positive, and long live the 90s. Woo!
And for all of you guys who tuned in, I know several others that I would love to have on here too that are not celebrity status, but Instagram status and podcasts and artists. If you want to plug some other people, please tell me, because I want to continue to build on this. So send them my way, and we'll get them in here. We'll just chat all kinds of stuff. So again, Brett, thank you, and go check out his website and be listening for the podcast soon.
Yeah. Stay tuned for all that good stuff. And if you ever need to get in touch with us, we're just a DM away.
That's right. All right, Brett, have a lovely evening. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everyone.